Angels, it's Hailey, Reese, and I hope that you guys are having a fantastic morning, afternoon, night, whatever it is for you when today's video finally reaches you. Today's video is one that really, truly, honestly freaks me the heck out. As you guys can see from the title, we're going to be talking about a dangerous tale of an unknown caller. Now, this is a true story. I mean, I wasn't there to witness this, but it is in fact a true story. And a warning to you that when an unknown caller is calling, it might not always be the best idea to answer it. Honestly, you guys, it's as creepy as it sounds, so I would suggest to sit back, relax, maybe turn a light on, and let's get right on into today's video. So first and foremost, the idea of a stranger calling, of somebody calling you that you don't know with any sort of malicious intent behind the call, is so unsettling and so creepy in and of itself. When I was a kid actually, the one horror film that freaked me out the most, it was my scariest one that I would throw on when I really wanted a big scare, and that was when a stranger calls. And it was just the principle of this stranger calling, who would have thought, and having this malicious intent behind that call, having just really horrible intentions surrounding it. But what if the call is coming from an unknown number? What if this stranger is strategic enough to not only block their number, but choose you? And their intentions are unclear until finally they're not unclear anymore, and it becomes very evident that you could very well be in some sort of danger. Well, that is exactly what happened to Anissa. And she emailed me detailing the horrific events that transpired after an unknown number called her phone, and she unknowingly made the mistake of picking it up. So today's video is her story, and a warning that sometimes when a stranger calls, it's best not to answer the phone. So before we get into her exact story, let's talk for a second about unknown numbers and the idea of somebody calling you from an unknown number. The thing about that is that it's exactly that, an unknown number, meaning that you don't possess the ability to block the caller. This person can call you and call you and call you and call you as many times as they want because you can't block an unknown number. They don't know what number to block. Apple does have a new feature though since iOS 13 that allows you to utilize a feature called Silence Unknown Numbers. The feature is actually called Silence Unknown Callers, not unknown numbers. I just double checked. But the problem with this feature, you guys, is that it doesn't block just unknown numbers. It's more of a vague description, meaning that it's blocking callers that you don't know, that aren't in your contact list. So if somebody from like a school is calling you and it's a number that you don't have in your contact list, it goes straight to voicemail, which is flawed for somebody who might use their phone for work like myself, because I use my phone for work. A lot of people are calling and messaging me daily to conduct business and just all of that jazz. And if I was blocking every single number that wasn't in my exact contact list, that would be problematic for me. So that feature wouldn't work for somebody like me who needs to have numbers, like real numbers, come through from people that they don't have saved in their contact list. It just doesn't make sense that you would want to completely block any number that's not in your contact list. So while it does send any unknown numbers straight to voicemail, it's also sending unknown actual numbers to voicemail as well, and that doesn't really work out. So you're kind of in a pickle if an unknown number is calling you and you want to kind of find a way to block that number. Now, there might be ways to block unknown numbers that I'm unsure of, but to my understanding, that's how you would go about blocking those numbers. Let me know in the comments below if there's another way. So Anissa's story starts just like that. She begins receiving calls from unknown numbers. By the way, please don't make how many times I say unknown numbers a drinking game, because you might die. But in essence, it really just started out with a whole bunch of unknown numbers calling her phone. And at first, when she would pick up, it was just dead silence on the other end. What was weird about it though was that no matter how long she stayed on the line, there was just dead silence. So it was up to her to end the call. Nobody would speak, but they would stay on the line. And this kept happening and happening and happening, and she chalked it up to spam calls. I don't know about you guys, but I think in the past recent years, I was receiving so many spam calls. Like my phone was getting all these weird calls. I get duct cleaning services a lot. I also get like government things. It's like, this is a message from the government. And I'm like, yeah, okay. But I too would probably think that if I was getting all these calls from unknown numbers and nobody was speaking, that it was just a spam call. So it doesn't surprise me that she felt that way. And eventually she decided, you know what, I'm just gonna not even pick these calls up. Hopefully eventually they'll get the hint and realize that I'm not gonna answer, and they'll move on to another person that they wanna be spamming and calling for whatever purposes they're doing so. But then it got so much creepier, you guys. Anissa had just finished up a meeting and was grabbing all of her things from the boardroom and walking out with a coworker right near her. And that was when, once again, her phone lit up with that unknown caller message or whatever in the world it was. And she rolled her eyes and pressed decline. And that's when her coworker next to her asked her, what? Like, what's wrong? And she began to explain to her how she keeps getting these creepy calls from this unknown caller, and how when she answers the phone, it's just dead silence, and she's been ignoring them, but they don't get the hint and they just keep calling her. And that was when her phone lit up again with this unknown caller. Now her coworker suggested, why don't you pick up the phone and let's tell them, stop calling. And right when she did, this time she was not met by silence, but rather a very creepy, sinister voice that said, ignoring my calls will be a very big mistake. This absolutely terrified her, because now the concept of it being a telemarketer or it being a spam call was completely out the window. Like, imagine how that must have felt. So a completely unsettled Anissa decided to go to the police station and report this to the police, saying that she'd been receiving all of these calls, they're harassing her, and then when she answered the phone, they basically said that it would be a very big mistake to continue to ignore the calls. Which is very strange, because what would they prefer? That she answers and neither one of them exchange words? But that was what had happened. But unfortunately, after she spoke to the police basically told her that there was no real threat here, that there's nothing that they can really do, but they'd like her to keep a log of all the calls, and if he says anything, XYZ, and just really keep an eye on the calling and to report back if anything changes, if it becomes a more threatening or unsafe situation. At this point, the calls continued, but when she would answer the calls, it went back to silence. There was no voice, they wouldn't say anything. She'd answer the phone, hold it there for a few seconds, hang up, and it was fine. As long as she was answering the calls and leaving that little bit of silence, it seemed as though whoever was calling was okay with that. There was no more threats through the phone, and she'd only heard the voice that one time. But here's where things get like really creepy, you guys. Like, when I read this, my stomach just went into knots and I felt so sick. One day she arrives home from work, and as she approaches the front porch, she sees on the doorstep a little red box that was a gift. And when she went inside and she opened it up, there was nothing inside of the box. 2 seconds later, she receives a phone call once again from the unknown number. And when she answers it this time, expecting it to be silence, she hears through the phone, I picked that just for you. Which now meant that not only does this person know that she just received the gift, but this person knows that she lives there. Whoever is calling her knows her enough to know where she's living. And that is just so creepy. Like, I can't even fathom being harassed by an unknown number. Come to find out that unknown number has a voice, which, I mean, you would think it would, but when they're not speaking, you're assuming it's some sort of like automated system sending out spam calls. And then not only does it have a voice, and not only is that voice looking just for you and wants you to pick up, but now this voice knows where you live. Like, I think that just takes it from a phone call to more of an attack and more of a personal situation, in my opinion. Panicked and completely disturbed by the situation, she once again contacted the police and decided that she needed to take some actual measures to protect herself and to try to put an end to this. So she went and she changed her phone number, and she had a home security system installed with cameras and everything. And then when she would go to work, she would even go as far as to have her coworkers walk her to her car at the end of the day and somebody meet her out there in the morning. So she was being very safe about the situation, knowing that this person knows where she lives, and remembering back to that first time that this person spoke and said that ignoring would be a very big mistake. It was like a threat that was now becoming personal. For a while, everything went back to normal for her. Her security system didn't show any strange behavior, she didn't get any weird phone calls, and a large amount of time went by. It was weeks and weeks of nothing, which was unheard of because her reality prior to that had been like endless amounts of calls and harassment, and now suddenly it was like she could breathe again. And she really felt like The security systems and the changing of her phone number had this person get the hint, and they felt like, maybe I'm gonna give up, because now she's taking matters into her own hands. She kind of felt like it was a victory. Until one day, weeks later, her phone rings and it says unknown number. And when she picked it up, dead silence. She was absolutely terrified. She thought there was no way this person could have found her again. But then a couple of days went on after that where there was no calls. And she thought maybe, just maybe, that was a fluke. Maybe, just maybe, it wasn't him. But she was wrong. And once again, a couple of weeks passed, meaning that she changed her phone number, installed the security system, weeks went by, she got one unknown number call, and then after that, weeks went by with nothing happening. She almost started to forget by this point because she really believed that that one call was just fluke. And she decided to go on vacation. In preparation for vacation, Anissa went online and ordered a whole bunch of clothes, which is something that I would do. I definitely do that pretty much every vacation, so I can resonate with that. And she ordered a whole bunch of dresses that were delivered to her door. Now, it's important to note that this package wasn't tampered with at all. And even when she opened the package, the actual packaging of all the dresses, it was all like perfectly normal. It didn't look like anybody had went inside of that package. So she brings it up to her room and she decides to try on all of her dresses. She tries on all of her dresses, she heads downstairs to make dinner, and that's when she hears her phone ring. She looks over, and once again, unknown number. Her heart sinks, but she thinks there's no way that this is him. He's been gone for weeks. He was so consistent before, now he's not. It is not him. And when she picks up the phone, it's not silence, it's a voice that says, I like the pink one better, but you seemed to like the blue more. And that sent complete nausea through her stomach because she had in fact liked the blue more. And she had in fact tried on a pink and a blue dress. And how on earth did he see it? And how on earth did he know it? There was nothing alarming on her security system. There was nothing alarming in her neighborhood. She didn't see anybody around the house, but somehow he knew that she had just tried on those dresses. And he knew that she liked the blue one better, but he liked the pink better. Ugh, honestly, you guys, just thinking about this gives me chills. Like, I can't even fathom that this could be somebody's reality, that this could be something that somebody went through, but this is what she's said to have went through. Like, this is her story that she shared that she went through. She called the police. The police came out to investigate her home to see if there had been any sort of like cameras put in it. Think about like Shane Glosson style rather. They were investigating for things like that. They looked throughout the whole entire house and they could not detect or see any means or any way that somebody could have seen inside of her bedroom. Even her window, there was no way that anybody could have seen in it based off where her window to her bedroom was located and based off the surroundings. So there was no way that he could have seen inside of her bedroom. There was no way that he put anything in there. But somehow he had. Somehow she knew that he had. At this point, she ended up moving and getting a whole new phone altogether. She completely trashed her old phone, got a whole new phone, got a whole new address, moved, didn't tell any of her coworkers where she moved, because one thing that the police had said was that maybe it was somebody that she knew playing some sort of prank on her, somebody that knew what she'd ordered, or knew where she lived, or knew that this would be a fear of hers. And so she completely didn't even tell anybody where she moved besides those closest to her that would be visiting, and she got a whole new phone. And after that, she has yet to ever hear from the unknown caller again. But what I think is all the more creepy about this unknown caller is that not only was it an unknown caller, but they also had an unknown motive. What was the reason that they would want to hang out on the phone with her when nobody's speaking? What was the reason that they would give a little red box with nothing in it? What was the reason, or how did they know that she had tried on those two dresses and which one she was leaning more towards? Like, the whole entire thing is so unsettling and truly makes me never want to answer an unknown call ever again. But I want to know what you guys think of this situation. I want to know how you guys think he knew that. I want to know what you guys think his motive was. I want to know, have you guys ever had any instances with creepy callers? I know that I told you guys a while back the story of my grandparents' house when my mom and her brothers were growing up, and how somebody was calling saying they were going to blow the house up and all this stuff. My grandma told the story. It's in one of our collabs together. But that's pretty much the only thing that I can think of on the spot here where anyone in my family has had really creepy callers that was unknown. Because I always knew, like whenever I would get creepy calls or whenever I would get like uncomfortable situations or stalkers or things like that, I always knew who they were. It was never like this hidden secret. And I think that's what's so scary is she's amongst people every day and she has no idea who is doing this and why. I don't know. I want to hear all of your guys' stories down below, and I want to hear all of your guys' theories as well. And I really hope that you guys enjoyed today's creepy story time. Before I go, I just want to remind you guys that down below I have a link to my merch store. The Friendly Ghost hoodies are selling out very quickly, as are the Wine and Spirits t-shirts, and they are just a one-time launch. So once they're sold out, they are gone forever. So make sure you guys get one if you would like to get one. If you guys are new to my channel or you are just not yet subscribed but you do enjoy my videos, I would absolutely love it if you would go ahead and click that subscribe button. And please give this video a big thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Remember, my loves, do all things with kindness, and until next time, I love you.